video is going to be continuing blood glucose regulation video that I put up earlier, and today we're going to be talking about diabetes mellitus, which is also just known as diabetes. So diabetes is a condition where sufferers cannot properly regulate the way their body uses glucose. Cannot regulate blood glucose levels. There are 180 million people worldwide who suffer from diabetes, so it is very relevant to all of us. Now there are two different types of diabetes. We've got type 1 and type 2. Let's flip the page around. Type 1, type 2. Now, type 1 usually develops quite early, before the age of 20, between about 12 and 20 years old. Now, type 2 normally appears after 40 years old. Now, in type 1 diabetes, your pancreas stops making insulin. But in type 2, your pancreas makes reduced insulin, but at the same time, the cells in your body become almost resistant to the insulin. So we've got decreased, reduced insulin production, plus resistance to insulin. Now, type 1 diabetes, the treatment normally include injecting insulin. And for type 2, the treatments not include diet, exercise, injecting insulin, plus medication to make your cells take up insulin with ease. Basically, just prevent being sensitive to insulin. So now let's discuss type 1 diabetes. So, type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disorder. Autoimmune. What that means is that the cells of your immune system think that your beta cells are a pathogen or are harmful in some way, and your immune system will actually kill off your beta cells. Now remember, the beta cells are the ones that make insulin. So because your immune system has destroyed all of your beta cells, you cannot make insulin. No beta cells, no insulin. So people that have type 1 diabetes must inject insulin. Now, as we know, insulin is really important in allowing the glucose to enter the cells of your body. Because remember, insulin binds to insulin receptors on liver and muscle cells and causes glucose to go into the cells. Glucose into cells. So because you've got no insulin being produced, insulin will not bind to the insulin receptors, and it will not cause the liver and the muscle cells to absorb all of this glucose. So the glucose cannot enter liver and muscle cells. So glucose builds up in your blood. So therefore, I'm sure you can imagine, you're going to have a big increase in blood glucose levels. And we know that glucose is so essential for all our cells because it provides the energy that our cells need to survive. So therefore, it's really, really important they're able to regulate our glucose. So that was type 1 diabetes. Now, what about type 2 diabetes? Now, in type 2 diabetes, your body either resists the effects of insulin and or your body does not make insulin. Now, this is often caused by lifestyle. However, there are a few other causes as well, such as obesity, low exercise levels, certain ethnicities that are a little bit more predisposed to type 2 diabetes, and also if you've got a family history of type 2 diabetes. Now, let's move on to some graphs. Now, exam questions very, very often include graphs on blood glucose levels and time, and in some way you need to analyze graphs. So let's do a few of these together. So here are the graphs, and on the y-axis I've got blood glucose measured in mmol per liter, and on the x-axis I've got time. Now here I've got in green, this is the blood glucose of someone who's non-diabetic, just a normal, healthy person. And here I've got in yellow someone that does have diabetes, they've got type 2 diabetes, but they treat it. And the way they treat it is they inject insulin. Now they'll inject insulin anytime they eat a meal. So look for non-diabetic. You can see glucose rises, back down, rises, goes down, rises, goes down. Day 2, rises, goes back down. At lunchtime, goes up again, back down. Dinner time, goes back up, goes back down. This is a very normal blood glucose regulation pattern. Now insulin is going to be released whenever you eat a meal. So insulin release is going to be here, here, here. Wherever you eat a meal, that is when insulin is released. Color doesn't look very good. Let's try again. Is it better? Yeah. This is where insulin production is going to be the highest. Now in the person that has treated type 2 diabetes, they're going to be injecting insulin whenever they eat a meal. So they're going to be injecting insulin at breakfast, at lunch, at dinner time, breakfast, lunch, dinner time. Every time they eat something, they have to inject the insulin because the insulin is going to help their blood glucose go back down, back to normal levels. This is comparing a non-diabetic and someone that has treated type 2 diabetes. Now look at this graph, which compares a non-diabetic with someone that has untreated type 2 diabetes. This is someone that is not injecting insulin. Not injecting insulin. So again, if we look at the non-diabetic, they've got very normal pattern of blood glucose regulation, goes up, goes down, up and down, very healthy, very normal. But now, if we look at the untreated type 2 diabetic, their blood glucose level, first of all, you can see starts much higher, and when they eat this meal, their blood glucose level shoots up to these unhealthy levels. It goes back down a little bit, and then you eat a meal, goes back up again. Down, you eat a meal, up again. Day 2, up, down, but you can see by day 2, the blood glucose level after dinner is already getting much higher than it was on day 1. Now, glucose level will go down a little bit because type 2 diabetes, it makes your cells just a little bit more resistant to the insulin. So the insulin can still act on your cells, it's just not as effective. So, now last one. Here we've got a treated type 2 diabetic who missed lunch, and a normal treated type 2 diabetic. Now what you're going to notice here is that on day 2, the treated type 2 diabetic who missed lunch has been very dangerous happening. Their blood glucose levels are getting dangerously low. Because just remember, insulin will only bind to certain cells. Some cells don't need insulin to take up glucose. So the cells that don't need insulin to take up glucose will still be absorbing all of this glucose in your blood. So your blood glucose levels are going to get very, very low. And this person is probably at risk of fainting. So it's quite serious and they do need to eat something, which thankfully they have done at dinner time. So this video looked at type 1 and type 2 diabetes.